Hello, I'm Rebecca Carricker, and this is my presentation on MakerSpace. I am challenging the Education 407 class. So this is my first slide. What is MakerSpace? So MakerSpace is an environment where one is only limited by one's imagination. It mixes all aspects of STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. In this type of classroom, the students are making, which is create, invent, generate, craft, build, and construct. My next slide, I just did a little example of a makerspace classroom. So these type of classrooms, they are creating. They're building, they're coming up with stuff that they can make in the classroom that goes along with the unit or the lesson that they're learning. So this is just a little video example of what a makerspace classroom might look like. So I just wanted to include that. And they have interviewed a couple of the students about what they felt about the classroom that they're in or the building station that they were a part of. My next slide, how have your interests, motivation, and social connections help you develop knowledge, expertise, and the moxie to make and do the things you love? An interest that I have myself with like a makerspace type classroom is I like to make my own DIY projects. I like to do these projects at home by myself. I watch videos and read articles about how to make certain DIY projects. An example would be building a doghouse. So I have a German Shepherd, and I saw on Pinterest that people make their own dog houses. So I really love my dog, and I created my own project at home, and I built this doghouse. So when I was doing this and when I have been reading all these articles about makerspace classrooms, it made me think that I could do something similar in my classroom with my students. So how can you use your students' interests, motivation, and social connections to develop knowledge about the subject? I use my students' interests and motivations to help me develop certain lessons or a topic that we go over in class. So with ELA, I try to relate things that they're interested in. I try to pick stories or articles that we read that they find interesting or can motivate them. Now that I have learned about a makerspace classroom, I can use their interests and motivations to come up with certain projects for them to invent or create while in class. This will be a fun learning experience for them because it's hands-on and they get to be creating or working on something that they already have an interest in. I think that I will have a high percentage of students who are involved and working like they should be. So with a makerspace classroom, I think that if they're creating something or they're building something or making, generating, all that, within my classroom, if I link it to what they're interested in or some motivations or maybe some stuff that they do after school, I feel like students will really be involved, and they're already going to want to be involved because it's making something. They're not just sitting at a desk and having to do book work. They're actually getting up and doing hands-on projects. How can I use a makerspace concept or concepts in the classroom to help teach content? What activities could students do? So students could be making, generating, inventing, sharing, collaborating, or reflecting on the lesson that was taught. An example of one of these activities would be to create a house out of popsicle sticks and then find the perimeter and the area of the house. This is a makerspace lesson that included some math content about perimeter and area that was previously taught. The teacher can check the project and the answer that the student came up with to see if they were correct with using math and were able to use their imagination when building the house. So the teacher had previously taught a lesson on area and perimeter, and then she had them go and make a house out of popsicle sticks and write out the formula and give an answer. And she got to actually grade them on the project that they did, and she graded them on their answer. The students found it a lot of fun because they were up out of their seats, they were building, they got to work with a partner. Everything ran smoothly. She had all the materials she needed. She was just walking around and monitoring. This is some pictures. So both of these are different classrooms. It's a section in their classroom that's for makerspace, so you can see that they have it posted that it's the makerspace part of the classroom. They have their supplies that the students might need. So I thought that was really neat, and I wanted to put that in my PowerPoint. Next, how do we intentionally foster independence, risk-taking, and perseverance in all of our students' learning and behavior? perseverance in all of our students' learning behavior. Sorry. I think that I foster independence and risk-taking when it comes to group work. I give them assignment and leave it completely open to how they want to do it. This gives them independence because they are working as a group wherever they want in the classroom. They are risk-taking because they are choosing their own way of completing the assignment. They take the risk with their choice and work hard at finishing it. I think giving them independence and letting them take risks gives them the opportunity to have good behavior in class. I can see how a makerspace type of classroom would give the students opportunity for independence and risk-taking. This is something that I would really like to try in my classroom and see how it goes. So I do believe that a makerspace type classroom definitely gives the students independence. You know, they're working either on their own or in the group. The teacher is not teaching directly to them. They are really getting to work on whatever they are doing. It's risk-taking because if they are building something or creating something, it's all up to their imagination. So they are having to take the risk of what they are building and see how it's going to turn out. How will you or who will use it and who's your target audience? Who else could / would benefit? So all the students who use a makerspace classroom, all of my students who use a makerspace classroom to create and invent projects are who will use it. I feel that the target audience is all the students, but especially the ones who like to use their imagination and enjoy creating or inventing. The students' audience is other classmates, parents, and teachers and administrators. So whoever they're building the project for, maybe it's for class, maybe it's for the teacher, but they also can show their parents and they can show administrators. Maybe they're trying to show off their project to their classmates, so the classmates can now get an idea of what they want to build. I think ELD students could really benefit from this type of classroom environment. I think that they will benefit from it because it's a type of class where the students are doing hands-on projects. Instead of having to read and write, they are creating and using their imagination for their project. If it relates to the lesson, they are still learning, just not in a traditional classroom way. So many ELD students have a hard time with writing and reading, and if the teacher could incorporate a way to use their imagination to create something, then the student can do that and it creates a visual for them. So they will always remember that visual in their mind when the teacher goes back to the lesson. So I think that ELD students would really benefit from a makerspace classroom. What skills do you want your learners to develop and why? I think the biggest skill that I would want my students, 6th graders, to develop is the use of their imagination to creating things. The age group that I teach have a hard time using their imagination even to write a story. I know that it would be hard for them to use it to create something. I also want them to develop other skills like problem solving, collaboration, communication, and responsibility. I think that all of these skills will not just help them during their makerspace time or in the classroom, or it will also help with their classwork. I believe that these skills are also needed as they grow up. They can take these skills that they learn and apply them to anything. So I really do believe that they will learn all these different skills in this type of classroom, and they can use them for the rest of their life. Collaboration, they're going to have to collaborate when they go into a job or college, and responsibility. These are all good skills that they can learn. What will you do for the kids who are amazing at making? As a 6th grade teacher, I will ask the students who are amazing at making to tell me exactly what type of project or experiences they like to work with. I will then give them extra time during recess, lunch, or after school to make what they would like. This is something that they show interest in and want to do. I want to make sure that I supply all the materials and the time that they need to do what they are amazing at. So if they really enjoy making things and creating, then I want to make sure that I provide them with as much time and with as much supplies to allow them to do that. The school I work at, they don't have this opportunity at home. So if I give them the opportunity here at school, then that's amazing. And they will really love it and they will appreciate it. So this is some tools that they would use on the right side, and looks like Chromebooks and stuff like that maybe a teacher has in their classroom to keep it organized. And then on the other side is actually an example of what students have made. What's the role of the classroom teacher? I think that in a makerspace type of classroom, the teacher's role is to walk around and occupy the entire room. The teacher should be constantly monitoring and scanning the room to see what all the students are doing. I feel that it is the teacher's job to make sure that all students are safe while they are making, creating, or inventing something. I also feel that it is the teacher's role to supply the materials that are needed to create their project. A teacher should be supportive while a child is creating in their makerspace classroom. They need to encourage the child to use their imagination skills that they have. So the teacher really needs to be supportive of those children. Last, I just included a couple pictures. So MakerSpace building materials. These are all materials that a teacher can get to use in her classroom, their classroom. And the last one is just a little bit the classroom or library as a MakerSpace. So these are just some examples that you can look at. I hope you guys enjoyed my video on MakerSpace classrooms. Thank you.